Hey guys, Crondis here, and today we are going to be talking about the 10 updates we like best from our favorite JMod ever, Mod Stu. So,
With
joining me
no
today,
bias.
joining me today, you can hear I have Avernic with me,
Hello, I'm
and we're
back.
going to be having much bias.
It's all biased. It's incredibly biased. It's a very subjective video.
Yep, we don't make it a secret that we really love and appreciate Mod Stu, so we decided to just throw this fun little top 10 video together.
Since we've been making so many so lately,
Yeah,
even though I haven't been
yeah,
here.
it's not going to be the only content that's on the channel from now on. It's just something we're kind of having a bit of fun with right here at the beginning of the year. So,
Hmm. So, without further ado, I suppose we'll start at number 10.
yeah, just before we start, I
Oh, no.
want to mention, yes, this list is going from updates that we liked least to most. I mean, these are all great, but obviously, it's an order of how much we enjoyed them, I think.
They start at like a 7 out of 10 and eventually get to 11 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so at number 10, we have the Heaven section of Pristinus. So with the Pristinus update, each of the mods were given their own little section to work with so that they didn't have to focus on 20 different things at once. And Mod Stu section was Heaven. Out of Heaven, we obviously got the Agility course and the Prayer Altar section thing. What do you think
Hmm.
about these?
I think first of all, it was a very great way to go with the monks, since this was one of the sections that was based on player votes, putting agility and prayer together. So I think that the direction that was taken, I'm not sure how much that was decided beforehand, but that's definitely something to be applauded at this point.
Yeah, I definitely think that Agility and Prayer were probably the two weirdest to have to be strung together.
I put dungeoneering and herblore in there as well.
Which, though, I
Um,
mean, there's Herblore in Dungeoneering already.
I suppose, but yeah, this came together very well.
Yeah.
Um, and then for looking at the rest of cryptidness, this definitely has the one of the larger concentrations of activities you can do. So you have your AFKing stuff, which I don't do personally, but from all of the Reddit pictures I see of people getting their pets stuck there, apparently a lot of people do use it just to AFK some agility out. So that's great.
Yeah,
And
this
then you
is
move.
definitely my favorite of the agility courses, just because
Oh, and then yeah, and then the course too. I was talking about
it's
the
it's
pillars.
it's the least like garbage.
I was talking about the meditation
Oh, the
pillars
meditation pillars.
by Heffen.
Yeah, I think I did
By
that
Lady
a
Heffen.
couple times right around release, and then I never
Right, I've
went
never
back to
touched them
them.
since, but it seems like people do use them. Like I always see people there
I
when I
see
run
people.
by.
Yeah, I see people there. I think it's more hindered by the fact that it takes about 30 minutes or so, and you get a XP cap at
To
like
cap it out.
25k or something.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing if you're just wanting to AFK it.
Right, but then if you move over to the agility course, which is something I definitely did to 99 and had a
Yeah,
decent time with,
yeah, I did as
um,
well.
this sets the benchmark for what agility courses should be. Even though since then we haven't gotten a new course, um, I don't think at all.
I mean, I can't really say I'm upset about that because this was meant to
I'm
be like the final course, and you can kind of see
I'm
because
not
it scales between 75, 85, and
right.
95.
I was happy at the time that it scales, and I'm happy that it scales currently. But I think that over time we should remove the scaling and put actual courses there to vary it up between levels 77 and 99.
I don't know. I just think like this is gonna have to come with the agility rework that eventually comes. It's like, are we gonna keep doing courses or?
I think we should like I think you guys discussed it. That it's inevitable we do courses. Um,
Yeah,
the thing is to make
it's
them more interesting with things like the momentum system, shortcuts, and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, but I think we need more courses like this to break up the last 22 levels of the scale.
yeah. I think for
And
the
this
time though, it definitely works being
for the time it's
scaling.
something that's dearly needed to keep you in the most interesting course. that we
Yeah, I
have.
mean, what was the highest one before this? Was it the
I mean, we
Wilderness
still
one?
have the advanced courses at 90 and
Oh yeah,
95,
no, it was the Advanced, you're right.
but I don't like those. So
Yep.
they're the old course, the old course style that I'm less of a fan of. But I really like this course. I like the direction it took. I like how it's much more epic and cinematic. I'm a fan of the cinematic stuff.
You know, it's weird because they cut down the cinematics from when it was originally released, and I'm not sure why.
I think people were just complaining that they were looking at cinema. I don't know. I'm
Well,
a fan
well,
of
it's not
like
that they didn't cut the cinematics. It was just like originally the camera like zoomed in on your character when you went on like the wall and ran sideways,
I
and
think
then
they're
it
just
it
cut
followed you
time.
up, and then just kind of like it became a zoom out and then zoom back in every time.
I don't really remember it that well, but if you say so.
Yeah, it was changed slightly. It's not that big of a deal. I just don't know why they did it.
And then the other thing this course gives is it gave that lore buck, which was random but good. And I know something me and Walter have been talking about recently is giving niche skilling activities one-off or limited rewards to get you to try them. And this
Yeah.
is something that's, I mean, you're going to try it no matter what because it is the best course for the last bit of the skill. But to get people into trying different skilling things to throw bones that they can earn relatively quickly and stay if they want or not.
Yeah.
So all around the course is great, and we haven't even gotten to the prayer thing, the cleansing,
Yeah, the prayer cleansing I think is the
which
weakest thing here.
I'd agree, but I'm glad it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't work if you train
it's the most viable thing during like a double XP weekend or something because it
right,
actually gets bonus, whereas altars and houses don't.
and that might be its best. The fact that prayer is such a weird and wonky thing to train, that might be the best they could have hoped for it.
Yeah, I mean the main problem with it is like it is expensive to do it, and it
Right,
doesn't come out with as much XP as spending the same amount for gilded
and in
altars
this
would.
day and age, the prices of training prayer have gone so down. Like if you look at Dragon Bones nowadays,
Yeah,
they're eons below what they used to be.
yeah,
So and the price of the cleansing stones doesn't change.
yeah. I
That
think
can't be helped.
it's slightly a relic of being released in 2014, and then at the same time, it's just it was balanced weird because I think they didn't want people to have a cheap way to
Cheap
get
and easy and
99, but
AFK, yeah.
but at the same time, things were cheaper and gave more XP already. So
Yeah. And then to top it all off, the area looks great.
yeah,
So
I mean the area looks great,
I
and
mean
it
he
had
didn't really
a
have much effect on graphics, but it's laid out in a great way, I think.
yeah. I
With the
was
mountain.
slightly disappointed on Heaven's release that the course didn't go the direction they originally wanted to, where like you're jumping
All the way around the
around the
city.
whole Prif area,
I think
but
that would have gotten old really quickly because it'd be pretty like samey because it'd be kind of constant just going from tower to tower. I don't think you could. You'd have to put like either a landmark in every district or something to hop around,
maybe I don't know.
or
I
just
mean,
kind of be like run across it.
I've come to love the Prif agility course though. So
Did great, yeah.
all right, so moving on to number 9, and this is Stu's ninja work. Most of
This
his
is
updates here are fairly small, so we just kind of clumped them together. Some things that we mentioned are his free-to-play updates, Imp Catcher, quest screens, and the getting rid of multiplayer from Shield of Rob and Heroes Quest. So,
right. So
what did you
these
think of that as free-to-play updates?
free to play is something I've probably interacted with the least because I've already done the content. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not free to play. No, I'm not free to play at the moment. So yeah, I've done fletching, which is in its own probably worth the update. Probably worth its own slot, but we lumped in here because it's not really new content; it's old content,
Yeah,
and so it's minor relatively, but it's actually a major thing.
I mean, one of the things this did really well is it got the game set for mobile,
Yeah.
where
Oh
they're
yeah.
expecting a lot of new players to come in. So, I would definitely say this is one of the best things he's done as a ninja.
And I think all the quests that got added, there's a couple of great ones in there, which
I still heavily believe that
I was going to avoid that.
that
But go ahead.
Missing Presumed Death should not have gone free to play. I will argue that to the end of my time, but
It does confuse timeline stuff if you end up happening upon it, but
yeah.
Broken Home's across the path, and that's a great one to release. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's yeah, no. That one's a
I
great
think that
one.
makes up for it at least. But I think all the quest stuff, the fletching stuff, and everything that happened there was sorely needed.
Yeah. Fletching was always a really weird one that I always said should have been free to play, even as a member.
I mean, it's not like the most exciting thing.
It's not, but it was just the fact that
Like,
free to play players could make their melee,
runes.
their melee armor, their runes,
Yep.
their magic gear. Why could they not make their range gear? Like, that never made sense from a balancing perspective, so I think making that free to play was a very nice thing. Imcatcher, I think, is probably one of the best quest reworks we've ever gotten, funnily enough.
It is, because it went from such an awful thing to such I'm not going to say like amazing, but solid thing.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, there's only so much this quest could be.
Right, and with the restrictions of adding not removing or adding any voice acting that was there with the wizards.
Yeah, just in case anyone didn't know that, the Wizard's Tower added in voice acting for Imcatcher originally, and so when Stu did the rework, he had to not touch the voice acting. And so that's why we got the section in the rework about he hands you a note and he puts his finger to his mouth and says shh. So I think like that was really like clever and sneaky way around all that.
And I'd like to also shout out a little bit to Aquamancer for helping to inspire the rework with the the humors. What are they called? The humors, yeah. So that kind of got it going with a conversation on Twitter about what could be done to make it a worthwhile rework. Something with a structure or to follow.
Yeah, I think there was a bit too much vomiting. I think that might be my one criticism of the quest.
Really got a lot of work out of that one animation.
Yeah, exactly. The one animation and the one sound effect.
But I think for what the quest is, the mechanics that were added to each imp were decent.
Yeah, they were all solid.
And I'm incredibly grateful that this became a thing, and Imcatcher quest is no longer a joke. And I see posts on Reddit about why they can't use their bot beads to finish it. Those are all the things I like.
Wait, so did they keep the tradable ones in game?
Yes, because you need them for what was it, summoning thing? Or no, it's a herbler thing. You need it for a potion of magic.
Okay.
You can buy them from the herblore guy in Taverley now.
Okay.
Just straight up. You don't need to kill him for him.
Yeah. So the next one was quest screens. This was just something that he had to go through one by one and make quest accept screens for it, which is probably the most tedious thing to have to do.
Right, and he went searching through backlogs for different images he could use for the quest icons, of which we now have most of them have their own unique icons now.
Yeah, I think it was like a third of the quest at one point just had no icon.
Right, so you know how the Lumbridge tasks in the old system used to have the icons for each task?
Yeah.
So he reused so many of those. There was one task about like smithing mithril, and he used it for the Elemental Workshop one quest icon because it's a purple bar.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So there's so many of those in there that I'm like, this is amazing. This was great reuse.
That makes you wonder why they used a purple bar to begin with. But
it's what he had to him, and then he got all those in, and he made the system simpler to use for future quests to be implemented. And while he was in there, he converted some XP rewards to lamps for peers, if that interests people. So that was all some great stuff. He also started putting in hard, fast rules about current company policy about things like quest boosting to start quests, which is no longer a thing, and now the quest accept screen checks that. So I guess that's good for consistency.
Yeah, it was always weird that some quests allowed you to boost and some didn't. It was always very inconsistent, so
now they all consistently check at the
yeah,
screen.
I mean, they needed to either decide one way or another of, are we going to let you boost or not? and I'm kind of glad they
Right.
went with not.
Me too. I think, yeah. So that's not a thing, and I'm glad this was an update as well.
Yep. And the final one for his ninja work is fixing the multiplayer on Shield of Arav and Hero's Quest. So you no longer need a partner for that. You can just do that by yourself. Which,
But you still can do it with a partner.
yeah, you still can do it with a partner, but it's...
Which I think is the best part about it, is the option.
Yeah.
The legacy option.
It was just like, we all remember never being able to find someone to do it and having to beg.
Yep. So that was a great little fix there. Probably not a little fix, probably a big fix, but it had a niche impact. I think would be well appreciated by, especially, again, new players.
And it probably made it much easier for Iron Men that didn't have to go find other Iron Men that could do
right.
this.
Anyone making a new account.
Yeah.
For any reason. So that was also great in there. And then, not to mention any other ninja stuff, whatever, however small it was that he's done, that we haven't mentioned here. But these were just, I think, the highlights we came up with really quickly.
Yeah.
And things that were.
I think the problem is that when you do ninja work, a lot of it is just very general fixes.
And no one's gonna know who did what.
Right, exactly. These are the things that we knew 100% that he worked on, so...
Right, and most of these were actually like passion things. I know free-to-play updates weren't, but Imp Catcher was, Quest Screens was, Shield of Rob and Heroes Quest were.
Yeah.
He did those as passion things while on Ninja, and got them implemented as Ninja updates.
Yeah. Alright, so moving on to number 8, we have Adamant and Rune Dragons. I think this update has a couple problems, namely being that the Adamant Dragons are useless.
They're filler.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish they would have gotten their own drop that would have made them special, but they didn't. And so Rune Dragons just kind of like outshines them in every single way possible.
But Rune Dragons outshine them so incredibly that this update got onto the list.
Actually got on this list, yeah.
Yes, so that's why they're here.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best, or at least better, implementations of a Rune Labs idea.
Right, and it was the first one.
No, it was the second one. Was it?
It was the first one.
It was the first one, yeah. No, you're right.
The second one, I think, was like quick teleport lodestones.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But yeah, Rune Dragons just outshine, just starting from they're located at a great looking place. And
yeah, I think the use of Ketsi was really, really nice.
Right, I think he even did like a Twitter poll about that. Where would you like them located? And there were a bunch of really wonky locations, like not wonky, but like boring, like the Ancient Caverns and the QBD Lair and the Brimhaven Dungeon, which all ended up being locations for Heroes Welcome. But Ketsi was on there and it got voted up, and I'm glad it was.
Yeah. Another thing that came with this update was some nice lore that came with the Dragonkin and some Metal Dragon stuff, which we had always kind of really wondered about, like, why do these exist?
Right. I like how the murals exist. They're very, very, very minor, but just like the little action of uncovering them is something that I like being in the game. These little things that you can interact with and fix or change or interact with once.
Yeah.
I guess kind of like the cactus patch in Menethos. I thought was really fun when it was implemented.
Yeah.
It's so minor, but it's that kind of adding life into what the content is. The exploring of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of these locations were really nice, even though Adamant Dragons is kind of just a copy and paste of the rest of the Brimhaven dungeon.
Right.
I still think that's one of the better looking dungeons, honestly.
Right, and then the fight with the Rune Dragons is, it's fun.
Yeah, I think the use of having to use Dragonbane. I think that was really, really innovative. So.
Yeah, requiring that niche material to give it some use, because it doesn't really get used otherwise. Maybe a little bit for QBD, but that's it.
Yeah, and there's really not much of a use for it, like, these days, just because it's, with the way the tier system works, it's just kind of bleh.
Right. It got me to make them, so.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the flying thing is, isn't the only time that a dragon flies? Like,
yeah.
All that I can imagine.
All I
can think of.
That I can think of, yes.
Right. So that's seemingly simple and obvious that finally happened.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had dragons just have wings.
Yeah, Walter's like other than the one of a kind.
Yeah, the one-of-a-kind white dragon that we saw, but
that's different, I think.
we don't actually fight that one.
Right. So I just really like the fight overall. Worth mentioning probably is a couple like the drops, which are actually the unique drops probably aren't worth mentioning, but they're worth mentioning that they exist. They're not that good for the power boots, but I don't know. They're there. Yeah. Also, the captaincy stuff, like the ring and the outfit. I like the super rare outfit. I like that it's rare.
I like that it's rare. I don't like that it's pointless.
Okay, it's just cosmetic.
Yeah.
I do not like the ring. I like that the ring exists, but I think the ring is actually pointless. Like I can see more of a point behind a purely cosmetic item than a really bad ring. You know?
Yeah. I think Adamant Dragons is really the drag down of this update. It's just the fact that they have literally no point. And I know during development, Stu said he wanted to do something with them so that they ran out of time. Yeah, so that they they weren't gonna just be dead content the moment they're released into the game.
Right.
And I mean, do you ever go to them if you're not on task?
On task. I mean, I'm okay with the task though. I wouldn't cancel it. It's an easy task.
Yeah, it's just disappointing that it is pretty much nothing.
Right. Also, one last thing I want to mention is Barry, because that's just hilarious. The bug where on the third phase, they constantly get stronger and stronger, but if you stop fighting them, they still stay stronger.
They still kept getting stronger.
So if someone tries to fight a dragon that got enraged, they get screwed.
Yeah, there was a single dragon that had gotten so strong that it was one-hitting people. And they would just wander in, and it had a kill count of like 40 or something stupid.
That was one of the better stories.
Yeah, and
it's
so
like up there with like the Abyssal Demon.
So in response, we got like the super ultra rare Barry spawn.
Right.
Which I think it's still just an Elite Rune Dragon. It just happens to have the name Barry. I don't think there's any
it has a
difference
guaranteed drop of a Kevsky outfit.
Oh, okay.
It's a guaranteed drop of that if you get the right dragon. So that's good, at least.
Yeah.
If you get that, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, I think that's about it for.
I think this was before the whole Elite Slayer monster thing got implemented. So this might have been like the first time we had the Elite mobs.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
So that was also like I like that. I like the Elite mobs.
Yeah, it was like a precursor to Elite mobs. I think Elite mobs as a thing are kind of stupid, but this one was fine.
Yeah, I'm okay. And this one has a different look too, which I like.
Yeah.
No, so that's good too. So this is all around I think a really good implementation of the player idea. I think it stuck to the idea and expanded on it in a great way. It had a lot of neat little things in there. That were done within the restrictions of making these dragons.
Yeah. Alright, number 7. We have Lord of Vampirium and River of Blood, along with their pre-quest stuff. The reason this is kind of stuck together, even though they're both two big quests, is that Stu kind of had minimal influence on these, so we kind of felt that we should just stitch them together.
River of Blood probably more so, since that was being made by a team he was on. But I think Lord of Imperium was less so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they were more so, these would be much higher on my list.
Yeah.
So probably not worth talking really in depth about all of these because, again, it was minimal. But I think we'd be better off talking about more River of Blood, since I think that was more.
Yeah, I mean, how did you feel about River of Blood? Because I have some mixed feelings on it.
I know you have mixed feelings about that one. I like how it was restrained. I wasn't disappointed there was no big fight. I was a little sad about the cardboard cutouts for the army, since they used 2D images for the further back monsters in the armies instead of actual monsters you can kind of tell at some points. So that was sucked about the battle, but I thought there was an interesting structure there, an interesting story told. It was it subverted expectations in a way I liked. I think that it had good gameplay in that puzzles and stuff like the bookcase is worth mentioning because I know that was a Stu thing was the bookcase. He had made like a puzzle with like no interfaces and no anything, just put it in this tiny room.
Yeah.
I thought the was Ivandis story that was told was really excellent. The little arc he has there. I really liked a lot of stuff that went on in this quest, and the pre-quest too was pretty amazing. It was a great week.
Surprisingly, I did like this quest. I don't hate it. I think it had its ups and downs. I think its main problem is the fact that it's overshadowed by how good Lord of Imperium is.
And so action-packed Lord of Imperium is.
Yeah.
That one's constantly moving around. This one's a lot more subdued.
I think just the fact that having your penultimate quest being better than your finale kind of goes bleh a bit, but Riverblood as a quest, I liked the way that they brought back the exploration aspects from the earlier Myarchy quests. I like the story that was presented. The battle was really, 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 really underwhelming because
it should have been harder. I like the idea there, but I thought it was easy.
Yeah, but it's like, we were given this concept art of, an actual war happening. And it's like, we didn't get that.
Right.
And I understand why, but I also don't like that we
King Roll's gonna die. King Roll's gonna die.
Yeah, he didn't even show up.
Right. He wasn't even in it except for the start. So.
Yeah. But you could definitely see a lot of areas where they cut corners to make ends meet, and that this didn't have as much of a budget as Lord of Imperium did. This
was in that period of time where everything had to be made in 3 months.
Yeah.
No matter what the content was. So that probably hurt it a bit. But even with that, they got the what I thought was spectacular and best used complementary content beforehand with the plushie hunt and the Mareki Memorial.
Yeah, they're both fine.
And the ghoul area, just modifying that and making that more of a less of a random spot with ghouls and more of like a little Slayer dungeon.
Yeah, I thought this was funny how you mentioned earlier was that they planned on having, this whole month is revolving around this big update, which has ended up being the quest. And that was like the only month that they actually did that.
Yeah, that's the only month they actually had like extra content. Like there's some that had some things, but they weren't as good, like the Grand Exchange scoreboard or the Heart of Stone build-up event. I guess Tales of the God Wars was okay, but I think this was definitely better.
Yeah, this was definitely the best.
The best use of it.
Yeah. But yeah, probably best to not drag on these quests too long because, like we said,
right, because it was minimal.
He did have minimal impact on it, but we love Stu and we love what he did here, so can't not mention it.
Right.
All right, moving on to number 6, Stu's first quest, Brink of Extinction.
The moment where Stu became Stu.
The moment where we first put our eyes on Stu, and he made us rage and rage and rage, and we still loved him somehow.
Yeah, the fact that we got through that. I mean, you have stronger feelings of, not stronger feelings, but more diverging feelings than I do about some of this stuff.
I think this quest is better now with age.
Right. I think it's better now.
On release, this quest had so many problems.
And the number one problem for that, I think, was EOC's release.
Yeah, this was the first quest where we had EOC combat usage.
A month earlier, it got released.
Yeah, so it was really bad.
And it got through so many updates of the boss fight. There's like 4 or 5 iterations of it.
Yeah, if you were doing it day of release, like some of us, it was really, 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 really tough. I think I was close to 15 to 20 deaths.
I was probably in the 10 range. This was back in my noob days when I was using like tier 70 gear, but...
Yeah, me as well.
I don't think Tier 90 was out yet, so it was Tier 80 was the top. Yeah, because Calfight King came out a month later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this quest, it's probably pretty overlooked in general, but I quite like the little mini series that goes on here with Elder Kiln, which he didn't work on, but he picked up from that tiny story being told and made it something that I found intriguing.
Yeah.
And I want more of. It made me vote for when we had the vote for the Elder God quests, and it was like, which god do you want to do, or do you want to do the exploration one? I voted for full just because of this quest.
Yeah, this was the first of a long line of many Elder God like lore updates.
Mm-hmm. There's one of the first beyond
Yeah.
just the Stone of Jazz being a thing.
Well, yeah, but this was one of the first like where we had an actual quest like mention the Elder Gods and stuff like that. So
Right in the post quest, we got the first mention of a second one.
yeah.
Speaking of the post quest,
Yeah.
the other thing you're gonna yell about.
Yeah, the other thing I'm gonna rage about is Stu not having the gall actually in game, and we were all looking for it.
He made a mini quest based off of speculation after we were speculating about it.
Now here's the thing. I know he's gonna try to take this one off. Because I know he's gonna say he only made it because people were looking for it. And I will go back to the fact that people were only looking for it because in the Q&A right after it was released, someone said, is there any way to read it? Or no, it's can you make the last one readable? And he said, what says it's not already readable?
I remember that.
Yeah. And
it wasn't made at that point.
That's why everyone was looking.
Yeah, and then he had to start making a mini quest based off of things that we hadn't looked for yet because there was a forum post about what we had tried.
Yeah.
And so because it had to be on things we hadn't done, it had to be even less obvious than not obvious.
And he did it in secret and didn't tell us that it wasn't always in the game until like 2 months after we found it, 6 months later.
It was the best thing ever.
It was the most rage-inducing thing ever.
This is where Stu became Stu.
This was where Stu became Stu, yes.
I still love that you have to take into account the Rune Day, which is only listed on the captain's log from player-owned ports.
Yeah, of all the random things to have to use.
That's the best. You have to use an uncharged ring. I hate charging that ring up. You have to use an uncharged one, so you have to die with it. Oh, Walter brings up another point. The captain's log that had the Rune Day in it wasn't out when the quest came out.
Oh, yeah, great.
So the solution wasn't even out. The way to get the solution.
Damn it, Stu.
No, I liked it.
But, I mean, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the Gaul gave us one of the biggest lore reveals we had ever had at that time. So,
which made it all worth it, kind of. Kind of.
And then it eased the pain.
Yeah.
It was like numbing medicine.
Yeah, I like the quest still. I mean, it's very combat heavy, but that's what the predecessor set up. So
yeah, I mean, looking back at the quests now that it's been updated and fixed and not just broken as hell, it is a very solid quest that I think still holds up.
And also, just gonna point out, the requirements on the quest go over 80. Wait, no, they don't go over 80. Oh, I was thinking of Birthright of the Dwarfs. Darn it, they stop at 80. Usually, for some of the first level 80 requirements in the game.
Yeah, probably.
That was game-changing stuff.
And we're still waiting on that 90 break. Any day now.
I'm surprised we have an 85, honestly.
I think we need to hurry up and get to 90 because Jesus Christ.
It's been waiting since 2013.
Yep.
But yeah. I'm very happy with Brink of Extinction.
That was Stu's intro into the game, or into All of Our Hearts.
Out of a Lozar egg, popped out of Stu.
Yep. Number 5, we have Memorial to Gothics. If you watched our 10 best updates of 2017 video, I think you probably know our thoughts on this and how much we love it.
Right, that's pretty...
I think this was the one we all unanimously agreed was the best.
Of 2017.
Well, yeah, I meant, but Like I think we all
Which,
had it as our number ones in our
funnily,
personal list.
there's another 2017 update on this list, but it's there for it exceeds it for a certain reason. I think
Wait, what?
the update above this one is going to be also 2017.
Oh yeah.
But they flop because of first of all, Memorial of the Gothics was a Guardians update, so it wasn't solely Stu.
Yeah.
It was less Stu than other Stu. But the Memorial of the Gothics update, like we've said, is and talked about is
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the best skill updates they've ever had.
it's up there with Aquarium.
Yeah.
It's this kind of content should be continued, and it probably can't and shouldn't have as much lore and stuff as this did, because divination is kind of lends itself that way.
I mean, if you want to just give us random lore from like the fire making skill, be my guest, but
Right, like I'm thinking with safe cracking, if you find little unique things, you could have it be like relics or stuff and give like stories on those. But I can see how it's easier with divination.
yeah, I mean, divination is already a skill that's heavily tied into lore, so.
Right, but I think everything this update gave, from the perks to the lore to the extra goal while training the skill, is all around a great way to do skill content in my eyes. Not the only way that skill content should be done. It shouldn't be overdone like certain MTX promotion styles. But it's something that should be done. I was thinking the collect ones.
Yeah, all of them, exactly.
Right, it's
the
all
one
at this point. But this is something that should be done as a part of the lineup of things you can do with skills, and it should be done more.
Yeah, completely agree.
Wonderful. That was a quicker one.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty easy one, especially just because we've talked about it so much.
Right, we'll get to longer ones, I'm sure, coming up very soon.
Yeah. All right, number 4, we have achievements. Now this comes with a bit of an asterisk to it because Mod Stu did both achievements 1 and 2. And so 2 came about because Stu is so good at taking feedback.
Right.
Honestly, I think when that comes to like as a skill of being a developer, taking feedback, he probably is one of the best when it comes to that.
I think he has been Mr. Stu has been the best at feedback and is the best person to that should be doing batched updates.
Yeah.
Anything we think should be batched should be given to someone that can iterate on the ideas and mechanics and such.
I think the fact that he took such a garbage heap that was that first achievements update.
It was not good. It had no redeeming qualities.
Took feedback and made it into just something that was just fantastic.
I open up the achievement system practically every time I skill just to like look at and see what else I can do at this point.
Yeah, I really have to commend him for that.
It's pretty great.
It's just the fact that he was able to take something that was so bad and with actually listening to feedback made it so great.
While we're saying this, I also just want a disclaimer that most of these, I think actually I'm going to say all these updates were not done solely by Stu. There were other devs that worked on it that also deserve credit. We're just mentioning Stu at this point.
Yeah.
I don't want to like leave like someone out that also worked heavily like on achievements. And like I think Chaos E also worked on them well. So I don't want to like leave someone out, but we're gonna focus.
But this is Stu's video, so we're gonna praise him as much as we can.
Yes, just want to throw that in there at some point. But yeah, achievements, I think they're great. I use them all the time, and he's still implementing them. One of his ninja things we didn't mention was extra achievements for areas like the Ark and New Varrock.
Yeah, those just came out, didn't they?
Right, and those need to, things like that should keep being added. Also, the fun ones should keep being added because those are really fun. Like there should be more like miscellaneous ones, like the beer one, or the fact that he iterated so heavily on the combat ones, which used to be just kill count. Now they are ridiculous and fun, like holding a pet rock during a Virago fight the entire time.
So Leech or Virago kill.
I've done that one. Yeah, that's great. But you can't use defensive abilities because you can't equip a shield, which makes it a little harder. But things like that should keep being added, and he's the one that's been adding more of those as well. Probably because he knows the system.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, so
all-
number 3. Hey, look, it's your update.
it's not mine, it's Stu's. It's his video. We've established
number
it.
3 is the Ark, which, if anyone doesn't know at this point, Avernic is the one that did that on Rune Labs.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It was an amazing update. Thank you for pitching that.
I really, really, really tried. But as far as Stu is concerned, he did some great things with the Ark. This was part of, again, the Guardians era, so he was on a team, but he worked specifically on things like the economy in the region and setting that up, and the standard that would uphold throughout the Eastern lands if we get more of them, as well as we know he worked on the head of the family tale, which is something I think is probably the best tale in the Ark.
It's my personal favorite tale in the Ark. I wish that Ark 2 would have followed up with that story.
Zone is up there. I like Twilight Zone.
I mean, Twilight Zone is fine. I just think Head of the Family is the best one.
Head of the Family, and I'm so sad we didn't get the follow-up that was planned.
Yeah,
in Ark
that's
2.
what I was saying. That I wish Ark 2 would have had it.
Yeah, but I like the Moai as a concept. I don't know if that was something that came from the tale or the tale got built around them being used. I think it probably got created because of the tale, because I don't see why they'd be put on the islands if not for the tale.
I mean, they're based off of Easter Island heads, if I'm right. So,
right. You're right.
I mean, there's. It's not like it's weird that they're there.
And there's countless other things in the Ark that he probably worked on. These are just 2 that we know specifically he did work on.
We also know he did all of the examines.
That's one thing we definitely have to mention is examines in general with Stu is something that comes up in a lot of updates, even ones he's not working on, like Menopause.
Yeah.
And he'll go in and examine the hell out of things and put puns in there.
Yeah, Stu.
Who doesn't like
Stu really shines when it comes to examines, which is like, yeah, not everyone's gonna read examines, but fuck it, it's really good when he does it.
Right. They get so much appreciation on things like Reddit.
Yeah, I think it's just the tiny little things like that that like really make an update shine, and I think he does that really well.
It's the details. But yeah, going back to the economy, I think that it's interesting. I'm gonna say it's good and interesting. There were some hiccups in batch 1 with rates and stuff and upgrade purchases, but again with iteration in batch 2 and taking on feedback, I think that all got perfected. Honestly, rates of getting chimes and what you can buy with them and processing materials to get your money's worth out of. You want to process them, you don't want to sell the raw things, and it sets up a great system to be used in future regions, with chimes carrying over and having some unique currency to stop you from buying things right away and have you interact with content.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of have it established from what they're hinting at that if they ever go further, that chimes are probably going to be like the universal.
Right.
And then things are going to have like Taijutsu is going to be Ark exclusive.
Right now, Taijutsu is a headache for everyone, but that's the roadblock to make sure you interact with content to get the reward shop stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with Taijutsu. I have, let me check my pouch. Only 76 of them. I just used like 400 of them. I have too many. I just spent a ton of them to get bone packs to make skirmishes to make money to buy bonds for Premiere. So I was a little short.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really happy with the Ark, and a genius must have suggested that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with what he did with the economy, just because, like you said, there were some hiccups in batch 1, but I think they were patched up really nicely with batch 2.
Right.
So yeah, anything else you want to say about the Ark? We did want to mention the fish slingers while we were here.
Oh yeah, so something that Walter wanted to bring up that did not make the list was that Stu's first update in the game was updating fish flingers, which I think is a nice little update, but we're going to tie it in here because it made the tackle box be useful, and Walter appreciates that he can use it for wobgongs.
Yep.
That is the weakest of tie-ins we could possibly make to get this in the list.
But you know what? Fuck it, it's our list. We can do what we want.
Right. That's update number 3.5.
All right, number 2. Death of
I
Chivalry.
think the big one, the one that he's probably most well known for.
Yeah. This is probably one of the best of the lower level quests, if not the best.
Wait, let me just check. Are we considering lower level to be novice or no requirement?
This is a novice quest, isn't it?
It is a novice.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
it's easily the best novice quest, period.
yes, it is the best novice quest. Can confirm. Just went through the list. So, best novice quest. Kudos for that.
Yeah, I mean I think what he did character-wise is honestly just great because he made Saradomin an actual character, where before he was just
Will
like,
point.
oh, I'm the god of good, but I'm secretly evil, mwahaha. Whereas here we get more of an in-depth look at it.
Right. I think that the Ceradon hate was probably like an inch heavy still here, but it definitely was not as much as had been done in the past.
Yeah.
Like with where did it start? Was it with Battle of Lumbridge, which was only like a month before?
It had to have been with either Battle of Lumbridge or the World Wakes, right? I mean, that was the only other
I
two
don't think it was
things.
with the World Wakes. So it must have been Battle of
Honestly,
Lumbridge
it
where it was
probably
like super
came
done.
with, because that was back in the time when we had, like, the lore podcasts. So it probably came with all of that.
Right. Oh yeah, probably. But yeah, Death of Chivalry is
Oh,
a
yeah,
powerful.
no, Walter's right. It's Gothixian butterflies. The
Yeah,
blue,
with
the
Gothic
blue
celebrities.
giant and children stomping and stuff like that.
So yeah, this was toned. It was toned back from that. It was still a little heavier, but I think that's probably just the direction they were going for the character
I
at
still
that
will
point.
say that Owen is probably the worst of the signature heroes. Just
You really
because
hate the signature heroes,
I,
just in general.
I, that's not
Which
completely
one's your
true.
favorite? Which one's your favorite?
Ozan.
Ozan. That was not said very happily, so it's probably like he's a 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, nothing
Yeah,
higher.
something like that. It's not that I dislike them as a concept, I just wish they would have been done better.
Yeah, but somehow with disliking Owen so much, this quest got to number 2 on the list.
Yeah. I mean,
Makes
that
you
just
think.
shows you how good of a quest this is.
Right. It's it's got it all. It's got the big explosive god stuff which people draw to. It's got the detailed stuff down to the examining the posters in the Black Knight Fortress and telling that story, which so much got tied in here. Like I've been into that, and then they have the
Oh yeah, what's it called? Ivan's story.
what? Yeah, with how he got killed.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
Arise Dawn was the name of the battle.
No, it's not a Rise Dawn, is it?
Uh,
It's something Dawn.
Checking.
Dawn Ascent, that's what it is.
Dawn Ascent. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it's called. It was the name of the battle where Owen killed Ivan.
I think we talked
And
about this on a podcast once, but
probably.
super
Um,
obscure lore that was only
right.
ever mentioned very slightly in Underground Pass.
It gets so detailed down to stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's just incredible.
yeah.
And then
He
it
did
pays
some major
homage.
lore digging for this quest.
And this was the replacement for Black Knight Fortress, and it paid so much homage to that with using Dawn as the witch from that quest. Lensig is her actual name, and using
Yeah.
the cabbage tie-ins, and it's just all of the.
It hits all of the check boxes that makes
and
a
more.
good
It hits
quest.
check boxes I didn't know existed.
Yeah, exactly. He
Um,
he wrote the check boxes. Let's say that.
um, yeah, and then you forget Black Knight Fortress Quest was a thing after you start playing this for 5 minutes.
I forget Black Knight's Fortress was a thing before this update happened.
Uh,
Because honestly, does anyone remember anything from that quest outside of the cabbage? No, you
I
don't.
remember playing the very first days I was playing the game, and I was dying in the fortress like Black Knight. So I remember. So that's a personal reason. And then realizing I needed a cabbage when I was in there. Um, but and then you get into the details of the centaur. You 180 when you're in the fortress to the tomb, and you realize you're underneath the God Wars dungeon. And you get into all the centaur stuff in that story.
Yeah.
And it has it keeps going from there and gets more intense.
Yeah, I mean, as new storylines go, I think Centaurs was set up probably the best.
Right. In
Just
an age
because,
where
like,
people
we don't, these days we don't have many new storylines set up, which is unfortunate.
everyone's clamoring to finish up old storylines, but somehow people are okay with this one being started and existing.
Yeah.
Because it's that great.
Yeah.
And there's so much that could be said about this quest.
This quest could probably have a podcast in and of itself.
Yeah,
if we were doing podcasts back in 2013, this would definitely have one.
Definitely the quest. The only thing that I don't like recommending this quest to new players for is that it's 6th age, but you can't really avoid that. So
yeah, I mean that's just a bad side effect of just happening, unfortunately.
Right. It was in the requirements.
Jagex doesn't really seem to care that new players have no idea what the hell the story's going on. So
I think at one point Stu showed us the requirements document he got when he was given this quest. And it was like so much, like had to feature Saradomin and Suro, and it had to be 6th age, it had to blah blah blah. And he basically took that, he made the first act out of it, and then he added 2 more acts onto the quest.
Yeah.
And it came out wonderfully.
Yeah.
Like I don't think the Centaur stuff was on there at all that he had to do. But very happy with this quest, and it is 110% Stewie.
Yep.
And we need Doc 2, and we need the tale of the Black Knight Fortress, and we need more.
So, our number 1 Stu update, Stoop date, you might say,
is...
Drumroll, please. Dimension of Disaster.
Woo!
God, I love this quest.
It is everything you could want from a hilarious milestone quest and more.
This is how you do a comedy quest.
Indeed. It is a day-long event if you start it and complete it and do all the extra content in there.
Yeah. This is something you play and you just keep playing and playing and playing.
You're not done in an hour like most, an hour, 2 hours like most pieces of content. You're done in 5 or 6. And then Walter said, and you don't mind replaying it because it's replayable. You have to replay it for the tasks.
Yeah.
But some people might get sick of replaying it. But this is the 200th quest, and it was actually very heavily influenced by player votes, which is always its own challenge because players vote weirdly and stupidly. I think the quests that were included were voted on, and the town that it was taking place in, and it ended up being what I think is the better send-off for Arav versus the actual canon send-off for him in Ritual of the Majrat.
You think the non-canon send-off is better?
100%. It is the better way to do it. It made feelings. And it got him to be more of a character in this fake world, which, if you want to apply some laws of alternate dimensions, is still his character in this world. It's just now we know it.
Yeah, I mean, this quest just had so much, like, zany, hilarious nonsense that it worked somehow.
And it all worked together.
Like, if you look at it on paper, it's probably like, what the hell is this and what am I reading?
And the best thing is, it all has, other than a few exceptions like Ping and Pong showing up, it all has like logic. You can logically trace it back to how this happened.
Yeah.
And that was thought of. Even things like,
I think one of my favorite things that came out of this update was Amascut when he was playing, and I distinctly remember him saying during the cat portion where the cats praise Amascut, because in that dimension Amascut is still their god, they say praise Amascut, and he's like, well, that's weird, why are they praising your character?
That's what you get for the names you have.
But yeah, that I appreciate this quest so much.
It works. The four stories subquests all work together very well, and they take from the mechanics of the real quests in ways that build on them and utilize them in ways that make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think this might honestly be one of my favorite comedy quests in the game.
It is my favorite. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Um,
I do love Gower Quest, but
I know that one's zanier, but it's actually canon, non-canon. This one's canon in an alternate dimension, but it's canon. Yeah, there's so and Zemregal is so Zemregally. It is
oh yeah,
wonderful.
he's so in character that like even being wacky and over the top, it's still believable. Like I can look at him and say, "Yep, no, that's his character."
Yep, Tiny Zemo might be the best thing ever. I love how they changed it. He used to have serious dialogue when he was a pet, but they changed it to be the Tiny Zemo dialogue from the dimension.
Oh, did
That
they
was
really?
amazing. Yeah, now he yells things like "Pudding's my destiny" as a pet. He used to have serious stuff.
Talk about a meme that should have caught on.
I love that meme. I yell it daily, in RuneScape scenarios.
Do you? Oh man, I need to have recordings of this.
Okay, not daily, but I do use it, and people stare at me oddly. But you know, it happens. But and there's other things this quest, like the boss fight. I think I'm really a big fan of the restricted boss fights where they tell you what gear and setup and stuff you have, like Lord of Vampirium, and like this, where you go in as a Rav. It lets you scale the fight exactly to what the player has. You know what they're going in with.
Yeah, it keeps from being either too hard or too low or
Right.
whatever.
And I like using a Rav for this. Even though they don't like to take you out of the player character, I think that using him for the fight was much more meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like how they give you a shield and a one-handed weapon. And I realized after failing it twice, like, oh, I should use defensive abilities. That might help.
I mean, I think
you can do it without it, but it so helps if you start like resonancing the big hits like cows and stuff.
Yeah. But I think it makes more sense to be a Rav just because, you know, this is his story. This is not us making his story for him.
Right.
So. But we all know you only like this battle because of the cows.
I love exploding cows. Instant burgers. What else can we mention? We can mention Lornab. Oh, that's a
yeah, Lornab. If anyone's seen my RuneScape in the making video for the Lornab, this was made because of the Clan Cup was won by the Scrying Pool and by the Clan Lornab, and so they were both put in game. And
so the god that was supposed to be a one-off ended up having to come back for the
against Mod Stu Better Wishes because haha, this is what happens when you deny us lore.
Yep, and he looked. The stone head looked great, and it actually had a use, which was cool.
And they modeled it off of that Legends Arts thing. Yeah, that's what they made the model off of. So that was really nice.
And then there's this is another instance where Stu created an economy, and you don't realize how much effort that probably took. But all the items in here have values and they're tradable, and you have ways to make different things, and the resources have to be available. And that must have taken so much effort. And I noticed it. Probably people don't, but I think that's great. And then you have to make sure you understand it and know it if you want to go for the chromatic party hat, which was a great Easter egg.
Yeah.
I enjoyed grinding for. Even though usually I don't enjoy grinding for those things. It was just like the mystery of what could that box be.
Did you get it before we knew what it was?
Well, no, someone else. I was not the first.
That's what I'm asking.
Otherwise, I'd brag about it. But I was probably at 100K by the time it came out what it was. I was halfway there.
Oh, okay.
And then the comedy, like we said, was great. Like I like the little jokes, like the ghosts in the graveyard that tells you to walk right for the faith trial, and you can walk in any direction. He says, "Okay, that was good enough."
I think one of my funniest jokes is the characters from the ghosts from the Demon Slayer rework, where one of the ghosts is just like, "Yeah, I don't really care. Here, just take the sword."
Yeah, it's kind of.
Or take my blessing, or whatever it was.
The funniest part, though, the best joke, was when people actually had to do the Demon Slayer rework to do this quest.
Yes. The people who didn't want to do it because they're lazy fucks
ended up having to do it.
Ended up having to do it so they could do it.
Because it was a requirement. Also, I like how they used Shadow of the Storm instead of Demon Slayer as the subquest, because I don't know, made it more interesting having it be like, haha, it's not Belrith, it's Agathanar.
Yeah.
But just all over this quest was a great. I spent a whole day on this when it came out.
Top tier quest.
Yeah.
As 200 quests go, I think they did a fantastic job.
And toppest of tiers stoop date.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about this?
I think I'm pretty. I've rambled onto a couple different sections of Dimension of Disaster, and I could keep rambling, but I won't.
Alright, well guys, this has been our top favorite Mod Stu updates. Like I said, this was just something zany that we came up with last minute, and we just decided to jump in a chat and to talk about it.
Expect possibly more of these about stupid things. Sometimes serious things, mostly stupid things.
Yep, if you like this, make sure to check out some of our other videos that we've come out with over the past week or so. We've kind of been pumping them out just because we've got free time. But, yeah, think about liking and subscribing and all that YouTuber nonsense. And we will talk to you guys later.
Sounds good. This is Avernic signing off.
Bye.